The world we live in is, well, chaotic. Most of us are deeply affected by the stress of everyday life more than we even know. So, a question I've been asking myself and some of my friends lately is, how do we find ways to slow down? To let our minds and souls get some of the rest that they desperately need? This is Bryce, and this is me. We both love the mountains, and we've been on some pretty insane adventures together. Last September, we were both in need of some time in nature, so we set off into the Colorado wilderness together to try and climb an elusive peak, seeking both a wild adventure and an answer to that question. How do we give ourselves room to breathe in the midst of our chaotic lives?
Welcome.
Hello.
Well, we are back out for another adventure. Finally. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since this guy and I have been able to get out. So yeah, right now we are at the Piney Lake trailhead.
You're looking at what we need to do right now.
Yeah, it's there's a mountain like up over there. Probably can't see it right now, but yeah, that's where we're headed, and it's gonna be a good time.
Adventure is always.
All right, we have just entered the boundary of Eagle's Nest Wilderness. Our objective is in sight. We're gonna try and make it up to this basin up in here and maybe climb this mountain. That's where we're headed.
Bryce, you got your happy juice? It must be pretty banging though.
This is a different one.
Oh, that's not apple juice?
No.
Oh, it's lemonade. My mistake.
Still a kid.
Just letting me try it.
Like a wee little kid.
That's so good. That's so good.
Wet the whistle.
Okay, so we just took a nice lunch break. Now the hiking is going to get substantially harder, and the first thing we have to do is actually find the cutoff where the trail goes, which last time I was here I could not find it at all. Well, eventually we did, but hopefully this time it'll be a little easier to spot. Well, I think this is it. There's no cairn, but there wasn't a cairn last time either, so I'm gonna go for it. And we found the trail. Definitely easier than last time. Now we just have a really long way up to this place where we're gonna sleep tonight. made it. Upper Basin. God, it's beautiful up here. Wow. We've made it to the Upper Basin. This is our home tonight. It's beautiful up here. Alright, so we have made camp and decided that we've got enough gas in the tank to go for a sunset summit tonight. So we're gonna attempt to get up to the top of Peak C before the sun goes down. So that's the mission.
Here we go.
Let's get it.
Okay, so really quick, before the video continues, I just wanted to let you guys know that in this next segment, there's a clip of a pretty intense rockfall incident that happened while Bryce and I were climbing. And immediately following that incident, we just did not really film a lot because we were kind of shook up and kind of trying to figure out what we were going to do next. So in the video itself, there's not a lot of context for what happens. But I did really want to talk about that incident. So at the end of the video, I'm going to sit down in front of the camera and talk a little bit more about that incident. So just know that that is coming. And as like jarring and out of context as it kind of feels, we did feel that it was an important part of the story, and we're going to talk about it at the end of the video.
That was not nice.
Dude, I touched it.
Holy
Boy. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Alright, well, we've linked back up, and we think maybe we found a way.
The first one was not the way.
Yeah, that was not the way at all. Thinking you might have found the way is better than knowing for sure that you don't have a way. So we're gonna keep going for it. How'd that feel?
Oh,
Awesome.
Woo!
It's probably because it was awesome.
Oh.
Summit's in sight.
Sight. Light work from here.
Damn.
Holy shit.
Woo. Damn. That's wild, dude. A little bit of blister care at 13,000 feet.
Oh yeah.
Well, we just saw quite the legendary sunset up here on the summit of Peak C. That basically concludes day one, except for the fact that we have to walk all the way back to our tent now. Should be exciting, but yeah. So I'm gonna put the camera away, focus on being safe. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the morning, or back in camp. We'll see. Well, we made it back.
We made it. Barely.
It was a long and arduous descent, but we're at the tent, and we really need food.
So bad.
Oh, we're gonna eat up, and we'll see you guys in the morning.
We took the morning slowly at camp. Well deserved after the ordeal of the previous day, spectacular as it was. But now, it was time to head back and conclude this adventure. But hey, no summer backpacking trip is complete without a dip in freezing cold water, so we made a quick stop at the river before heading back to the car. In the final mile, we both paused to take one last look at the mountain that had inspired our journey and pushed our limits. As far as an answer to our question, Bryce and I realized a few things. The feeling of free, childlike joy we actively sought on this trip was so rejuvenating. The beauty we were allowed to witness was deeply grounding, and the excitement and danger we lived through reminded us of who we are. Time in nature, whether it's a backpacking and climbing trip, a walk through the park, or even just a morning spent sitting by a sunny window, is absolutely vital as we learn to care for ourselves in our chaotic lives. It allows us to be free and without responsibility, if only for a few minutes at a time. And that freedom is where we can truly find rest. During this climb of Peak C, Bryce and I had the closest call that either of us have ever had in the mountains. We were climbing in some relatively exposed fourth class terrain, just meaning that we were climbing with our hands and feet, but it wasn't vertical. And I was about 15 to 20 feet above Bryce, and I was reaching for my next hold, and as I reached my hand up there, I just brushed against this block that was sitting on the slab next to me, and I had no idea how loose it was. It was sitting so precariously that all it took was that brush of my hand to send it tumbling down behind me. Just straight towards Bryce. So when you hear me yell rock in the video, that fear in my voice is very real, because that rock was big enough to do serious damage or kill, and I didn't know what was going to happen down behind me. Thankfully, Bryce saw it coming. He tucked himself into the gully, and it flew down and missed him by about 2 feet. We were able to get out of that area and link back up on some more mellow terrain, where we had a very serious discussion about whether or not we were even going to try to continue, or whether it was best to just call it right there and go back to the camp. two of us went back and forth about whether or not we'd even include this incident as part of this story. And we've decided to keep it for a few reasons. Firstly, it was a very real part of this climb, of this adventure. And it had a big impact on how we handled the rest of the day. And secondly, it's important to remember that there is real danger in the mountains. They are beautiful and life-giving and one of the greatest joys of my life. And at the same time, I think a lot of the images and stories that we see in here don't give a clear picture of just how careful and deliberate you have to be, and that even when you are as deliberate and careful as you can be, sometimes things can still happen. Ultimately, this experience hasn't really changed either of our loves for the mountains or our desire to climb, as Bryce and I are both firm believers that there's a certain level of risk that must be taken for life to be lived in fullness. And the mountains are a huge part of both of our lives. But that said, for both Bryce and myself, this was an eye-opening incident, one that has since informed a lot of our decision-making in the mountains and the care that we take when we're climbing. Neither of us ever want to have a call as close as this ever again. So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. If anyone has questions or wants to talk more about the rockfall incident, feel free to drop a comment or shoot me a message. I'll talk to you guys soon.